Let me go, Biddy said loudly, and I suddenly realized that Maxie was still holding her with her arm twisted behind her, and that nobody was paying any attention to me. I wheeled around, ducked, and began pounding down the hill. I hadn't taken more than a dozen steps when Cowboy had me. He lifted me, my back to his belly, my feet not touching the ground. I kicked at his shins with my heels, and he dumped me on the path. As I scrambled up, something pricked behind my right ear, and I rolled my eyes around and saw Priest's fat, creepy face. I swear to heaven he was licking his ugly lips. "Be good, Danny boy," he said, and he pricked me again with the point of the ice pick. I knew I was going to be very good. "Let her go," Cowboy said, and Maxie took his hands off Biddy. He walked over and picked up the flashlight. "Look," Biddy said. "I'm a National Park Ranger. You're trespassing on National Park property. I don't know what's going on here, but I'm ordering all of you to come down now to the ranger station and explain what you're doing here." Cowboy sounded amused. "You're ordering?" He turned and began walking up the path. "Bring Danny boy," he said over his shoulder. "And bring little Miss Ranger too." "What about Bean?" Maxie asked. "Leave him," Cowboy said. "He's prowling. He'll find us." "If he could see what we've got, he'd come fast enough," Maxie giggled his scummy giggle. "If they only knew." I had a quick, terrible picture of Jellybean lying there with the wind blowing across his closed eyes, lifting and moving his thin, pale hair. I saw the twisted leg. But how could I tell the other outlaws what I'd done? They'd kill me. My heart thudded. If Jellybean didn't get help, he mightn't hack it. And what would that make me? I licked my lips. "Cowboy?" I began. The ice pick jabbed behind my ear. "Shut up, turkey! Who asked you to talk?" But the prick was a bee sting. If Priest put his strength behind it, it would be a hole in my head. I shut up. It was a relief to have tried and failed. "See," I said to whoever was listening to my soundless talk, "I tried. Whatever happens to Jellybean now isn't my fault." Maxie pushed Biddy ahead of him so that she was behind Cowboy. I was behind him, with Priest right on my heels. "Give me my box," Maxie ordered, and Priest passed over the big stereo radio. Punk music blasted, bouncing off the rocks, setting a group of gulls to screaming and wheeling white against the black sky. "Shut that off," Cowboy said. "You want the watchman to hear?" The music slammed into silence. Cowboy had turned off the lantern too, and the darkness was darker than ever as we walked through it. "You're not going to get away with this," Biddy said. "I can't just disappear. I'm expected down there in the ranger station, and when I don't come, they'll start looking for me." "Don't give us that they stuff," Cowboy said. "There's just one, honey baby. One night watchman." Maxie giggled. "One dumb old guy. Think we're going to worry about him?" In front of me, his head was never still, moving around on his neck like a bobbing doll in a car window. I knew his eyes would be crawling all over Biddy's back. His mind would be crawling all over her too. As I watched, he lifted his hand and touched her hair. "Stop it," Biddy said. Priest spoke behind me, his voice raised so Biddy could hear him over the wind. "You rangers are pretty stupid, you know. You know how we found out there's only one watchman? We asked." Maxie giggled again. That giggle could drive you to murder. He began to speak in a high-pitched whine. "Do all the rangers leave the island at night, Mr. Ranger, sir? They do? But surely someone must stay here. A night watchman? Oh, I see, sir. I expect he's armed? No? Well, of course he doesn't need to be, does he? I don't suppose there's anything anyone would want to steal on a place like this." Priest jabbed at my back. I couldn't feel the point of the pick through my thick jacket, but I knew it wasn't his finger. "Careless talk costs lives," he said. "I heard that once in an old movie." "Hey," Maxie said. I saw that flick too. It was all about the war. Clark Gable and a blonde broad. Yeah, he was a big shot doctor and she was a nurse. The drizzle of mist lay on me, cold as death. One night watchman? No gun? If he did come near us, the outlaws could take him, no problem. The only hope now was Maybelline, whoever she was. Maybelline of the Big 5-0. She was down in the ranger station too, and the outlaws didn't know about her. Cowboy stopped so suddenly that Biddy bumped into him. What I'm wondering, he said, is why you're here. Biddy didn't answer for a minute, and then she said coldly, Just lucky, I guess. I sensed Cowboy's smile. Maxie's giggle was as close as he'd ever come to a laugh. He picked up an end of her red hair again and twined it around his finger. I like her, he said. Biddy's elbow got him low in his stomach, real low. I said, keep your hands off me, you weirdo. Maxie doubled over. Oh, he gasped. Biddy spoke to Cowboy. There are a dozen of us here. We stayed because it's Maybelline's birthday. We're having a party for her. You can't handle all of us. Why don't you? Biddy didn't answer. Cowboy stood looking down at her, and then he said quietly, I don't think so, honey baby. I think you're lying. I think there's only you and us. And Danny boy, Priest said. Don't forget Danny boy. He has to learn you don't mess with the outlaws. He was poking me again, hard. And you don't mess with their brothers. Poke, poke. Or their mothers. Poke, poke. Or their dogs. Poke, poke. Or their friends. Poke, poke. We were walking again now, walking through the falling wetness and the scudding wind toward the old walled prison.